Alright guys, so you're probably wondering why I'm redoing this video. Well, it's because of one major reason that the creator of the, Matt Malloy, hope I'm saying that last name right, himself, one of the guys in charge of Udon Comics, actually corrected me on the video. He actually corrected me on a plot they're doing, and I decided rather than to just leave it up, I decided to redo the whole video, because there were a few things else I wanted to talk about regarding the story itself. And firstly, I'd like to apologize to Matt for accidentally, giving off the plot, that initially the plot was, I thought, Shadowloo delving into the dark arts and the Darkstalkers are getting pissed off about it. That's not the case. What had happened was, I had looked at a link, I had looked at a site that was the supposed plot line. That was the supposed plot line, and I ran with it. Turns out that's not the plot line at all. Unfortunately, yeah, that's not the plot line at all, and I do apologize for that. So yeah, that's kind of my apology to Matt and everyone at Udon for totally screwing that up. That one's on me, guys. This is what happens when you look at only one site. This is what happens. Sometimes you need to delve a little deeper into, more than one site rather than just have a friend who sends you a link going, "Here, look at this." So that's why we're kind of here right now. That's why we're kind of here, ladies and gentlemen, is basically, yeah, we're... I didn't get my facts, I didn't delve too deep, and yeah, I should have double-checked to make sure, but unfortunately we don't get that. Anyway, but in all fairness, getting back to the point, Street Fighter vs. Darkstalkers, that is awesome. Now, again, I'm a big fan of both Street Fighter and Darkstalkers. I kind of wish Capcom didn't put the kibosh on Darkstalkers, so yeah, I think it's a cool idea. And initially, some people have talked about maybe, with this comic, maybe we can get some bigger help. Maybe we can get some, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe this can be a push to get Darkstalkers back in the spotlight, because Darkstalkers was another great fighting game that Capcom just totally swept under the rug. But I think actually having a game that should have happened, because, Capcom's all big on, Capcom's a bit, big on crossovers. I'm surprised this didn't happen. I'm surprised when Capcom and Darkstalkers were at their zenith, rather than have X-Men vs. X-Men vs. Street Fighter, which was also pretty epic, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Darkstalkers vs. Street Fighter somewhere should have happened. The other thing I want to bring up with this is that unlike a majority of crossovers that do happen nowadays, it usually caps off at 4 to 6 issues 6 issues at most. This one will be an 8-issue story starting off at around December. Yeah, that's it, sometime in December, and it will kick off from there and going all the way through 2017. Yay! So yeah, I think it looks like obviously the creators behind this team are definitely what's the word I'm looking for? Very passionate about this project. If they're looking to make this a giant 8-part epic, because the last time I saw an 8-part crossover was from the Star Trek Doctor Who crossover a while back when that came out. That was the last time I saw a 8-part crossover, and yeah, the rest, like the longest, are usually 6 issues at best. That's usually the big cap-off point on a majority of them. But no, so yeah, there's been a lot of talk about Street Fighter and Darkstalker. Now, the big thing that a lot of people have talked about with this is that, a lot of the Darkstalker characters are incredibly powerful, like they're fucking powerhouses. Morrigan herself could, she can wreck shit to a, to a almost like Iron Man level degree in some cases. In some of the games, they really made her powerful. A lot of them are S-class demons, and if you guys remember the power level that Dmitry Maximoff had, good lord, I don't, that's what I'm really curious to see. As much as I love Darkstalkers, the Darkstalker characters have the edge of, they're supernaturally empowered, and not to say the Street Fighter characters can't fight them because they're not supernaturally empowered. A lot of them are. A lot of them are definitely have supernatural abilities, and a lot of them are supernaturally empowered. I mean, hell, Akuma could more or less destroyed an asteroid in one move. Yeah, Akuma did that once. So yeah, Akuma, Ryu, and several other very powerful characters in the Street Fighter universe. In terms of characters I would love to see, throw down, I'm not saying that this fight is one-sided. I'm not saying the Darkstalker characters are just going to wipe the floor with the Street Fighter characters. All I'm saying is that the Street Fighter characters are probably going to have a hard time against the Darkstalker characters, but however, I'm pretty sure there are going to be some really epic fights in these matchups. I'm really looking forward to a lot of these matchups happening. Now, with the Street Fighter characters and Darkstalker characters, like what kind of mashups I would love to see in these kind of fights are... there's a couple fights I would like to see. There's definitely a few. Such as, once again, I'd like to see Pyron and Akuma fight. Yeah, Pyron versus Akuma. That would be awesome. Dimitri versus Bison. Yeah, Bison versus Dimitri Maximoff. That's one. And this is probably, my most wanted fight. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I definitely want this matchup to go down. This is a matchup I sure as shit want. And that, good people, that matchup is between... Morrigan and Juri Hama. Yeah, Juri versus Morrigan. Tell me you don't want that fight. There's no way... you're thinking about it now. It's like, holy shit, Morrigan versus Juri Hama? Yeah, that'd be an epic fight. Again, I don't know who's going to be facing off with what, because the comic isn't out yet. We've got a few months... we've got 5-6 months until the comic comes back out. So, yeah. Oh, another one? There was one I had for Lord Raptor. Who would be a good matchup for Lord Raptor? And I had an idea, and then I totally lost it. I lost it. Cammy versus Felicia would be a lot of cool... Cammy versus Felicia. Li versus Chun-Li. Chun-Li... Maybe you could switch those, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, bottom line, guys, this is going to be a pretty epic fight. These are going to be pretty epic fights. I'm very curious to see how they're going to play out this entire series. And I'm wondering how the trade is going to play out. I'm wondering as to how the trade in question is going to go. My guess is that they're either going to, wait until and do one giant 8-issue trade, or they're probably... And this might be the better case. This might actually be the case, is that... Again, I don't know how they're doing this, but... My guess would be they're doing one volume, they're going to do the first 4 issues, release that in trade, and then do the next 4 while they're doing the other 4 issues, and then reveal a second issue as the trade. Kind of like how IDW's been doing. Again, I don't know how Udon's exactly the game plan for how Udon's going to have that play out, but or they'll just have it for one big trade. I don't know exactly what the game plan for the trade is, because I don't work at Udon, that's why. So, yeah, that's kind of the big thing. Now, again, I want to extend my apologies to Matt and everyone at Udon for completely missing the plot, because, again, I looked at the wrong site, and it gave me a totally different plot line, and I want to apologize to Matt and everyone on board on this project, as well as everyone at Udon. That was... I should have done better. I should have done some fact-checking, and I'm totally sorry. And I didn't want to leave the video. The reason why I deleted the first video was because it was totally wrong information, and I didn't want to totally leave wrong information out there for everyone to see. So I decided to correct that mistake and own up to the screw-up I just did. So, my apologies to Matt and everyone at Udon, and I also want to apologize to everyone here watching this video. I deeply, deeply am sorry for the complete and utter fuck-up I just caused. I can't be sorry enough, That's, that's me. Anyway, but yeah, once again, guys, you guys tell me, what do you all think of Street Fighter versus Darkstalker? Just comment below, let me know. once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm really excited to see what you guys have to say for this, for this crossover, because I know you guys are some major Street Fighter, and I've seen some, like, I love Darkstalker, but I know a lot of you guys who are major Darkstalker fans. So, once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.